This is Pete.
And Albert.
We're Moskitos, and you're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Pete and Albert, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks, man.
It's great. I'm looking forward to diving into your music now over the next bit. So you guys recently released your debut album, Mirage. It's a bit of a rawer sound than your previous releases. Can you take us deeper into it?
Yeah, I guess I'll go for that one. I think there's a few things that probably inform that whole sound. We used to be a little bit more nuanced and think through a lot of our songs. We used to have a lot of time together because we actually started out during COVID time, or like a lot of the songs that we wrote was written in COVID. We didn't have much to do, but we were all together. We had this basement that we wrote a lot of songs in. We had a lot of time to write these, so that was kind of the initial approach to kind of hone in on a specific sound. But for this one, I think we basically all moved to Cape Town during this time. We used to be based in a small town called Stellenbosch, like a student town. It's got like a big university, and we basically all moved to Cape Town, which is just like the logical move for us. And we kind of got, enamored and like involved in the scene. And it's basically, in a nutshell, there's quite a big psychedelic rock scene in Cape Town. And that's due to mainly, in my opinion, a collective called Psych Night, who started a festival called Endless Days, which is close to Cape Town. And they basically pioneered this whole scene based off a lot of other psychedelic rock scenes abroad, like Austin, Texas, you've got Levitation. And in the California side, you have Desert Days, which is basically a sort of what Endless Days was based off, I believe. Anyway, so we moved to Cape Town, and all of these bands started influencing us, I think, to a degree. And all of them had a little bit of a heavier sound, like live shows were, visceral and crazy. And I think that's kind of something that informed the need to sort of write songs that kind of fit into this scene, because we really obviously fell in love with the scene, and it's amazing. So I think that's kind of the way we approach this is not to think too much, to basically try and write songs as fast as we can, just feeling it without trying to write like a masterpiece. You know what I mean? And I think it kind of worked out like we wanted it to.
I like it. It was inspired by Plato's allegory of the cave. Can you talk us a bit through the writing process?
Yeah, well, I think actually that sort of came after we actually wrote most of after we wrote most of the lyrics. We kind of thought about what we're trying to say in most of these songs, because I think most of that comes naturally, sort of in the jam. We sort of write a lot of the lyrics like that, or at least some sort of ideas come out, and we kind of flesh it out after that. But I think all of the songs kind of had this I don't know, sort of direction of trying to show that necessarily what you believe is not necessarily the truth, and it sort of leans towards the fact that there's specific societal influences that isn't necessarily right, or clouds your judgment to some degree. So a lot of the lyrics kind of focused on that sort of more of an introspective side of is what you really think true, and sort of the metaphorical image of that we thought is allegory, the allegory of the cave, which is essentially a story of that the old philosopher Plato tells of this cave where there's a fire, and all these people in the cave can just basically see the shadows, and they've got no idea what's outside of the cave, and they believe that's the real world, and they believe it to such a big degree that if someone comes and shows them that the shadows aren't real, that they would never believe it. So that's sort of like a good metaphor for actually what most of the songs are talking about. So that's kind of why we picked that one.
I see. Now, when it came to, recording, you got Warren Fischer to record and mix it. What was the dynamic like between you guys and Warren?
Very friendly. Yeah, we've known Warren for a bit, but not too long. But he's quite known around these parts, and we were quite fortunate to catch him before he immigrated to Berlin, and we recorded in a little studio of a friend in Paarden-Eiland, also area here in Cape Town. But that studio also doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, I think we're quite lucky to have had worked with him, because he's someone that definitely knows the scene and what we're trying to do, and definitely a good how should we say, a good um, just a good person to create the space that you kind of want to be in, and bring in some professionality within the workflow. Yeah.
I gotcha. What are you guys going to do now going forward since he's emigrated?
He's been doing some masters for us, and mixing and stuff. But yeah, I mean, in today's digital world, you can, as long as you have the stems and stuff, you can get along quite far with stuff and that. I think we actually recorded 3 of the last songs on our own with just his supervision. Just calling in, video calling. It's like, is this microphone placed right? Is it shaping the right way and stuff? But then we managed to pull through and get the project done. Yeah.
Not too bad. And I know the album was recorded in 2 or 3 days, but did you guys face any challenges, or is there any memorable moments that you can share with us?
Pete?
Is Pete still there?
Look like Pete's left the building. Any challenges? We recorded one song, a few takes, and then Warren called in after he saw a video, and he was like, "Hey, the tom mic is facing the wrong way." So it was upside down the entire time. So that was one. I think we just kept it like that in the end. But that was a pretty funny one, yeah. But yeah, definitely, I guess, just the fact that he's not around, so we can't easily go to his house, sit with him and mix with him. I think also because he immigrated, he wasn't as settled in his own space with his stuff and so on. So I think there was definitely some challenges there. But luckily we've got good enough relationships and patience that we could all make it work.
Definitely. And when it comes to the album, are there any specific tracks that you gravitate more towards than others?
From my side, I think the tracks that I really gravitate towards is the tracks that we recorded last. I think we basically recorded in 2 different in 2 different days, and the last track we recorded, I think, are the ones that are a little bit less heavy actually, and a little bit more intricate. I think there's like a little bit more dynamics and a little more depth to those tracks. The one's called 10 Lies, and the other one is called Nothing. So that's my 2. I don't know.
Yeah. only the one song Trigger is like left from, I would say, like a previous or older iteration from our set list, which I guess we got a second love for. At first we weren't crazy about it, but we knew it had to come on the album. But yeah, it kind of found a second breath, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Interesting when those things kind of happen. And you have to share, how are the songs going down live? I know you had your release party over the weekend.
Yeah, I think we actually tried something new for this specific show, which was pretty fun. Okay, so maybe to preface this, our drummer broke his arm wrestling a guy in a bar.
Right.
As drummers do, you know. And we basically had to decide if we want to continue launching this album with the event, or whether we just gonna cancel it. And we decided we're gonna still do the event, but for that we had to get another drummer to play in his place, and we've never really done that before. We like kind of quite a tight knit unit, and we all bring our own special parts to the table. So we didn't really know if this was going to work with another drummer, and we decided on this one session drummer we know who's insanely talented, and he plays everything from metal to classical and whatever. His name is Dolph Lombard, and he's based in Cape Town. And we basically asked him to play the show with us. And as we were, rehearsing for the show, our actual drummer Dan started feeling better and better, and his arm started started feeling better, and he started actually showing him how to play the drums. And we set up two kits in our studio space that we had. So they started facing one another and playing the drums, and it started sounding so sick that we just decided that we should try this to play the show with two drummers. We ended up playing the show with two drummers. It was insane. I think it's something that I've probably wanted to always try out. I'm a big fan of the OCs. I've seen them live, and that was kind of like a crazy circular moment in my life to actually do that. I have to say, I think the songs went down really, really well. We've been playing them for a while, some of them. So I think it's kind of kind of the pinnacle for these songs, I would say.
I see. Right, we better move on to some concert questions. It is concerts that made us, after all. First off, as concert goers, what concerts would you say have made you?
Okay, I think I'll use this segue that I was talking about earlier, because it just makes sense. But one of my favorite concerts for sure was the Endless Days Festival that I was talking about here in Cape Town, South Africa. I think it was 2017. The lineup was absolutely stacked. It's crazy the amount of amazing psychedelic rock acts that they get here from everywhere across the globe. Notoriously, US artists are difficult to get to South Africa because of the time difference. But they managed to get the OCs, which is a psych rock band from LA and San Francisco. And they are absolutely visceral and like destroy your ears, But they also can be super intricate and stuff, and they've got two drummers. And I don't want to tell all the detail of the story, but essentially I was on a exalted state, and I was watching these two drummers, everyone else mosh pitting around me, and I was basically just focused on these drummers and the frontman called John Dwyer, and he was spitting on stage and running around, and he was literally like this, fiend on stage, and it was definitely one of the craziest shows I've ever seen live. Craziest sounds as well. I remember him actually taking his vocal mic and putting it onto his amp as well, and then turning it to 10 and just like blasting sound, So yeah, absolutely experience I would never forget. I actually had like a shrine of John Dwyer in my previous house above the vinyl player, just to look at him every now and again and remember that moment. So that was a big one.
Man. And Albert?
Concerts and stuff. I missed that concert because I was writing exams. So I never, and then afterwards, Endless Days stopped. So I actually never had the privilege to go to one of those. I'm just thinking like Rocking the Daisies is a concert we have around here. I saw a random band there once, Ex Olympic. They really, yeah, did. It really sounded good. Yeah. I can't think of any more crazy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll do. That'll do. And for any listeners that haven't been lucky enough to catch one of your shows, what are they like? Give us the full experience if you can. I know you said you had 2 drummers at the release party, but typically what are they like?
I mean, it's tough to say. I always find questions about yourself very hard to answer, but I would say we bring a bit of everything to the table. It's we're a mixture of 3 very different kind of musicians. Dan, our drummer, is sort of came from the metal sort of side. I kind of loved the psych rock thing for a long time, so I kind of brought that to the table. Albert, like you can tell you, but he basically listens to a shit ton of everything, from like prog to like hip hop and everything. So like we all very different. So I think there's a lot of like movement in our set, and it goes from like super easy chilled out moments to like super heavy moments, and I think that's kind of what makes our set really cool to watch. And I think it's in my opinion, I think it's it's something that you never know what you're going to get next kind of situation. But there is definitely some musical elements I think that we try and channel as well. We always try and mix it up for ourselves to make it a little bit more interesting for ourselves. So I think we add some spice into the mix, like odd time signatures and stuff like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just us, like, going wild. that's what it is.
Sounds like a good night. And if you think of all the shows that you guys have played together, is there one that sits above the rest? It just couldn't have got any better.
I don't know.
I'd say the release show was pretty great, still coming down from it. So we'll see in time. There was a show just before COVID hit, which was a big show for us in Stellenbosch at Class. And we got a standing ovation at the end, and that was really cool. And then just after that, COVID dropped. So as soon as there was like a tiny shed of light that we might get some traction or something going, it was immediately back to the drawing boards. We went up to Joburg, I think like a year ago or 2 years ago, which is very big for us, getting on a plane, doing the whole thing. And we played a show there at Sonnage, with another Cape Town band, Salt Ash. But that was really memorable. Yeah, being in a different space, sharing your stuff and finding that people enjoy it as well is always a treat,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bit of a fun one. If we take that question and flip it around, is there a show you would consider the worst? Things just went wrong, and how did you guys overcome it?
Shit. I feel like there's a lot of those ones for me, but maybe it's something like really cool. Wow, I think the worst show we ever played. I'm trying to think what the worst one was, but there was a few that we had some technical difficulties that was really shit to deal with. I don't know, maybe a show at Gorgeous George. It's like a small venue in Cape Town. I remember having a shit ton of technical difficulties. But Yeah, but I mean that's the whole thing. I mean, I also think that when stuff goes wrong, it's what makes the show a show. If everything goes
Yeah.
exactly, and I never feel like that's a memorable show. So I mean, yeah, the good and the bad, they're all good.
I like that
Yeah.
outlook.
You were sick that once, just before Bohemia show. When when you're sick, it's really hard to muster up energy for the show. That's one thing I can think about. But furthermore, we've been lucky to not have been too messed up or too drunk to play shows. Normally, we keep it like kind of sober until so it's never been a problem like that. It's like technical problems maybe, or just some nights when the crowd's not feeling it, you're never removed from the crowd. You always get energy from the crowd. You always give energy to the crowd. Some nights there's just something not there, and then that could influence your confidence or your energy as well. Definitely.
True, yeah. And when it comes to showtime, then how do you guys, psych yourselves up, and then afterwards, how do you like to wind down?
Well, for sure, a few beers and maybe a shot of tequila is like a par for course. Um, yeah, psyching up. That's interesting. Personally, I sometimes, if I get the time, I'll definitely listen to some music beforehand. Some bands that I dig that psych me up a bit. Maybe even if I've got the opportunity, I'd watch like a video of a band that I really love or whatever. Maybe the days before the show, it kind of gets me psyched to remember like exactly why I started this in the first place. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I try not to hype myself up for gigs. I try to be really chill.
Really?
Low expectations. Not to put too much pressure on it. It's just kind of hang around, and then to unwind, it's always just chilling with the homies, chilling with the friends. Definitely to unwind. Yeah. That's about the formula. Most of the time before gigs, it's always dropping off gear, checking in with the sound check guy, this and that and that. It never feels like you stand still. You can get that space from my experience.
True. Yeah. And before we dive into the last couple of questions, then future plans set in stone. What can we expect from you guys? Gigs, music.
Well, yeah, I think for sure one or two key things I think from my side is that we want to continue to like expand our sound, not just keep a similar sound. I think we're gonna try and do something new for our next album. And the big thing that we wanna do is we wanna get to Europe. So we're trying to figure out a way where we can do our first European tour. Yeah, and I'm quite excited. I think there's potential to do it.
Sounds good. Sounds very exciting. I'd love to see you guys in Europe. There's so many festivals that you guys would actually fit in so well with,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been to one or two festivals in Europe, and it's like crazy the scale and like how how different it is there versus here. It's actually totally possible to do a 20 stop tour or whatever, where you basically limited to about 3 long days, and they're all on the polar opposite sides of the country, which is like really makes it tough. So yeah, I'm very very stoked to try and get us over the pond.
Well, fingers crossed to happen soon. We'll dive into the last couple of questions. There are a couple of fun random ones. First off, besides music and the band, what are you currently obsessed with?
I'm watching Lost right now.
Right. Bit late.
It's on Netflix now. I started watching Lost. I missed the Lost train back in the day. So that's and I'm playing Elden Ring at the moment, which is I'm quite obsessed with that at the moment.
Right. You do know how Lost ends, yes. You're not
No, I actually don't.
right, I won't say anything.
I've been holding myself back to watch the spoiler videos on YouTube. Is it good?
I'm not saying anything. I don't want to ruin it for you because I know I hate when people ruin things for me like that. So I'm not even going to say one word. Pete, do you know?
Yeah, I think on my side, I just got some studio monitors for my birthday, so I've been pretty obsessed with getting cool sounds out of my MIDI keyboard. So yeah, that's kind of, and like getting back into the recording thing. That's like really something I've been wanting to do for a long time again. So that's cool. And my girlfriend is a avid runner. She loves trail running. So I'm starting to try and do that. It's it's a whole different ball game. What we do is easy.
Right. The next one, it's a bit strange. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Shit, that is the most difficult question to answer. Wow. Albert, you can go first, dude. I need to think about this.
Jeff Buckley, maybe. I don't know.
Good one.
Wow, this is so difficult because I'm thinking like Bob Dylan. I'm thinking, Miles Davis. It's like extremely. Sorry?
I can answer for you, Lou Reed.
I think that's a brilliant answer, dude. I think Lou Reed probably to talk to. I don't know if he would want to talk to me though.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a good one. Two very good picks. And the final question: what's your go-to album? An album you constantly revisit?
Wow. I'll go. I have a super soft spot for the Beach Boys. One of my favorite albums of all time is Surf's Up. So I think that's one that I'll never drop. Probably also all the Velvet Underground albums, basically. But yeah, maybe Loaded. It's like the one that I've listened to most.
I like it.
I'll throw in a Moonshaped Pool from Radiohead just for now. Yeah.
Brilliant. Listen, guys, this has been a blast now. Thanks a million.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate talking to you and having us on.
Welcome to the podcast, conscience that made us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concerts that made us.com.